what happened to Frank Fritz actually, really? I mean, what happened to Frank Fritz? Now, the last couple of American Pickers I've been watching, which are the new ones, Frank Fritz hasn't been, I think that's his, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Fritz, whatever. He hasn't been Frank. If he calls himself the Beard Charmer or whatever, he hasn't been seen in, I haven't seen him in any of the new shows lately. I don't know what happened to Frank Fritz. Another show that I watched was American Pickers when I was little, and I still watch it kind of, but it's just not like it used to be. They have a couple seasons of American Pickers you can watch on like Hulu or something, and it's kind of sad how the show kind of progressed from being a good show to now just being like really boring and everything. Like there's no adventure anymore of the show. It's kind of like the same thing that happened with Ghost Adventures and other shows like that. Pawn Stars is like one of the only shows that really didn't change. Like besides the old man passing away, which was sad. Pawn Stars is like one of the only shows that really didn't change. Chumley and Corey and Rick are kind of the same. Their characters, whatever, they're kind of the same. Their personalities are kind of the same. But American Pickers changed, just like Ghost Adventures and some other shows. This is the last one I'm going to do, but American Pickers kind of went downhill, I think. A couple seasons that the couple first seasons that they had were actually pretty good, and then they started to go downhill. Like they feel like they started to rip people off. That's what I felt like. They started to rip people off with, like in the couple seasons, their first couple seasons, they just were, really nice, and they actually gave people a bargain for their products and stuff, for their items. And now it's like they go to a place and they try to rip people off, that's what they're known for doing right at this time. And like I said, where's Frank Fritz? I haven't seen any of the new episodes lately, but the past episodes I actually did see. I haven't seen any new ones, but he wasn't in there. It was Mike's brother, Danielle, and some other person that was in there. Frank was nowhere to be seen, and also now maybe because of COVID, but I don't think so. I mean, in seasons before, he wasn't seen before either. I mean, I'm wondering if he was kind of phased out, or not phased out, but I wonder if he kind of quit or something, because I know he had a problem with just how everything was going. I think he kind of had a lot of financial problems because people kept suing him because he kept buying all this stuff that people would sell for really cheap to him, and then he would sell it for so much money. He'd be like, oh, retail, and then he would be like, I can only buy it for this much money, and then they would sell it, but then they would find out that he would sell it for more than they actually got. And there was a lot of lawsuits against him and stuff. And if you don't believe me, there's a lot of lawsuits that were filed against particularly Frank Fritz. Now, I don't know about Mike Wolf, but Frank Fritz was sued a couple times because of items he'd buy, and then he would sell it for more than he actually bought it for. And he would say, oh, I need to make a buck on it, but why are you selling it for like 5 times what it's worth, or 5 times the value that you actually paid the customer or the person you bought it from? And he was sued a couple times because of that. Now, I don't think that really has anything to do with him not being absent on American Pickers. I really don't. I think he might have been not fired, but he can't be fired because he's like one of the original founders of American Pickers, actually, because him and Mike and Danielle were the founders. And now I think maybe he was just tired of it because of Nashville. They got a Nashville office now. They got so many offices now that they can't keep up with it. And they got so many people working for them now. They got Mike's brother that really wasn't seen in the previous episodes, like the previous seasons before, like now. And then you got Danielle, and then there's a couple other people that Danielle has working for her, and it's like the show's like there's more branches out now. It's not like it used to be just 3 people. It's like more branch out. And that's what happens with a show when you start to get more people. Like with Ghost Adventures, they started to get 2 more people or 3 more people, and then they started to become so big that they were sucked. They sucked. It doesn't stay original. It has to go out. Of course, that these shows do. And that's what happened to American Pickers. And it just seems to be more boring than it used to be. Like, they used to actually go to places that actually were cool. Like, the guy that was he had those basements, those tunnels, and he had basements that were, like, under his property. And him and his friend were picking, but he had built this when he was, like, 11 or something. And he made all these tunnels and stuff, and they went all throughout, like, probably 10 feet into the ground or 10 or 11 feet into the ground, and there was these tunnels. And it was like his property and stuff. He had like toys and etc. And those were episodes like that were actually pretty cool. But now it's like they go to this house and they just pick nonsense and stuff. It's not like they used to, where they would go to actually good places. Like I remember one time we went to what's that guy's name? No. It was John Travolta, and he had a movie. It was called Buddy. John Travolta had a movie, and it was with Mickey Gilley's place, and they went to his property, his old and he had all this stuff stored and everything. It was actually a pretty cool episode of American Pickers. But that was like one of the early seasons of it. And now it's like I said, it's just like it used to be so cool, and that's what happens with these shows. They branch out from their origin, and then they start to go, and then they stop their episodes and stuff. Hold on. Come on. Stop. Nothing of that right there. Go. Anyway, I just had to put his. Anyway, that's what happened to American Pickers. Another thing, I just don't know where. I don't know. Maybe Frank Fritz is on the new episodes now, but a couple episodes before I watched new ones, and he wasn't on there, and I was like, "What in the heck?" Oh, that's the name of the Mike's brothers, Robbie. Now, Robbie seems to be okay. He seems to be okay, but just like all these other people that they like, for that guy with like the mustache, like the white mustache and white hair and glasses, he kind of reminds me of Mike, but older Mike. And that's the weird thing. Like, he reminds me of Mike, but that's like Mike's friend or something, and that's just weird, like, But anyway, yeah, what happened to American Pickers? Another show that kind of sucks, to be honest with you. I mean, I still watch the early seasons. I got it on Hulu. I got it on Discovery Plus. But yeah, what happened to American Pickers? I don't really know.